No one outruns their past, and yours just caught up with you.
Hey kiddos, thanks so much for joining me for episode 6 of Chronicles in Critiquing, where we're going to take a look at Fast 9, as well as open up some Fast and the Furious Diecast cars that I've sort of had lying around and have been wanting to open up for a while. So I just finished watching the movie. It obviously came out in theaters, I don't know, probably about a month ago, and I think it just kind of hit some of the, download to own services. I know Amazon has it, and I'm sure some others have it as well. So I finally got a chance to check it out. I guess I'm going to go over, sort of some of my general thoughts, as well as I sort of just took a few notes while I was writing it, just some sort of like funny things that sort of came up to me. So I'll just kind of go over that. This is going to be a spoiler review. I'm going to spoil this movie, and I may also discuss some of the other Fast and the Furious movies. So, if you care about the deep final, Fast and the Furious plot, then I guess you should not watch this. But for everybody else, you'll probably survive. So I guess sort of generally we could start off with just the plot of Fast 9, which is, not a super strong plot, but we find out that Vin Diesel has, well, actually it's not true. So Mr. Nobody, who's Kurt Russell, he contacts, the Fast crew with, some message that's like, oh, my ship got attacked, and Cypher, who's Charlize Theron from the last movie, she escaped, and you guys got to come help me. I'm going to interchangeably use people's names, real names and character names, because it really doesn't matter, because it's Fast and the Furious. So, like Ludacris and Tyrese and Ramses, they like roll up to Vin Diesel's house, and Vin Diesel's now like a big family man, and he lives like in the middle of nowhere with Letty and his son Brian, and they're like, yo, Vin Diesel, you gotta come help us out, like, we gotta go save Mr. Nobody. And Vin Diesel's like, yo, I don't do that anymore. I'm past that. I'm a family man now. And they're like, oh, okay, that's kind of disappointing, but I guess we'll just go do it without you. And then they leave. And then Letty's like, no, Vin Diesel, this isn't who you are. This isn't who I am. I have to go do this for everybody. And Vin Diesel's like, all right, I guess I'll see you later. And then like Vin Diesel rewatches the video, and he notices that there's like a cross on like one of the abductors who attacks like Mr. Nobody. A plot which I might add is not ever resolved. What happens to Mr. Nobody, but that's besides the point. But he sees this cross, and it's kind of like he's something's up. We also have like a flashback to Vin Diesel's like tragic backstory, where his dad was like racing in a race car, and then he like blew up or something. It was basically the end of Ford versus Ferrari. But that makes Vin Diesel upset. Blah blah blah. Anyway, Vin Diesel, shocked, decides that he's going to join the crew, and they have to go to like some made-up country to, rescue this thing. They get the thing, and then somebody attacks them, and blah, 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 and you basically find out it's Vin Diesel's brother. I'm going to like fast forward through the plot at this point, because who cares? Really, who cares? That's not why anybody went to see this movie. Blah, 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 blah. Winds up that Han is like, had some sort of secret passcode for like some super secret device that's going to like take over the world and hack all the computers. Stop me if you've heard that one before. And they go, they have to go to Japan to like track Han's clue that he left before he died. And Han's like, they're like, oh, remember Han used to always say Japan is the Mexico for people, and they're like, oh, here's a Mexican flag, and that's where Han used to live apparently. And then some like thugs go to attack them. Did I mention that Vin Diesel has a brother yet? I don't remember, but Vin Diesel has a brother, and he's also evil for some reason, and he caught Ramses. And then there's like this samurai woman shows up, and she's like Han's daughter, and everybody's got a kid in this movie. And then it's like, oh, Han's actually alive, and he's saved, and he's there. And then they like all meet up, and they're like, oh, John Cena, who's Job's brother. I'm really losing. It really doesn't matter. But they're like, oh, they're gonna like upload this thing to the satellite, and we gotta like stop the satellite. So they like team up, and then like some of the crew, though they also have these like electromagnets that are like super powerful, so they could like get cars, but like even though the car who's using the electromagnet like doesn't actually move, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. They have electromagnets that's like their main thing. They also go see like all the cast from Tokyo Drift for really no reason. they're just like, oh, I know someone who lives in Germany. It's the people who used to live in Tokyo Drift, who I never met. It's like, oh, okay, cool, we'll go see them. Anyway, Han's alive, everybody's alive. They go to fight this thing, and Tyrese and Ludacris, they have to go into space, and like, of course, the people from Fast and the Furious 3 who used to be drift racers, they make space rockets now, so they made like a rocket, like whatever, and then Vin Diesel has to like go stop John Cena from uploading this magic thing, and then John Cena's like partner turns on him, so now John Cena's like a good guy, and they all fight together, and no one ever really races, and no one's fast, everyone's like moderately furious. They save the day, John Cena leaves, and then they have a party with Coronas. Anyway, that's the plot of this movie. You know, don't me souring on the plot doesn't mean that I dislike the movie. I do dislike the movie, but it's not because of the plot. I mean, I've never went into a Fast and the Furious movie because like, oh, I want this plot to make sense and it better be grounded in reality. Like, obviously that's not what I'm here for. And I'm not gonna like point out every single little thing about the movie that doesn't make any sense. But just generally speaking, I was not a very big fan of this movie. The plot is just so generic. It's boring. The characters are just not used very well. Like Han, who is my absolute all-time favorite Fast and the Furious character, he doesn't even have any role. He like saves them with the sniper rifle. I don't think Han was a sniper in any of the other movies. And then they're like, Han, you're alive, and he's like, yeah, I know, it's a long story. And they do like a moderate flashback, and then he just doesn't really do anything the rest of the movie. John Cena spends like most of the movie just like grimacing menacingly. He's like, I'm John Cena and I'm angry for some reason. And then like he has like one fight at the end that's not even really that good. Like most of the movie is really based on like Ludacris and Tyrese, and I don't think that they're really set to lead the movie themselves. They're great supporting characters, but probably not, you know, like I said, they're too much of a focus of the movie. Also, they just don't use, you know, Fast and Furious, it's kind of become this like ridiculous ensemble cast thing, right? And like The Rock's not in this movie, Jason Statham's not in this movie. There's like the two Spanish guys who like make reggaeton music. I don't know their names. One of them is like briefly in the movie, and we find out that Vin Diesel met them when he was in jail one time. There's like a few other little random cameos, like the guy who Brian broke his nose in like one of the movies, and there was somebody else who made a cameo. Oh, Jason Statham's like mom, who's played by like some British woman or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. The movie just didn't do it for me. It was a little disappointing. I would not pay money to watch this movie. I mean, if it was like on like Netflix or something, or was like on TV, if people still watch TV, like I would watch it. But you know, it's kind of like one of these movies where it's like, you're not watching it so you can like high five your friend when something cool happens. It's more of like, I'm gonna just make fun of this movie to my friend and laugh about it because everything about this movie doesn't really make any sense. I'm gonna get to unboxing these figures in a minute. I'm gonna go through my notes here that I took kind of as I was watching the movie, which I wrote in the dark in Scribble. So hopefully they make sense. But yeah, it starts off with another tragic backstory for Dom. It's a little disappointing. I feel like the opening scene of all the Fast and Furious movies is like awesome. Like the Fast 4 is like my absolute favorite opening scene where they're like stealing these gas tankers and then they have to like race them down a hill, which is awesome. In Fate of the Furious, they're like racing on, I don't know, they were like on Cuba or they were like on some island, and they had to race around the island, and like Vin Diesel used like a Coke can to like make his car go fast, and then he drives backwards and it explodes, and it was awesome. So this one just kind of made like a very dour start to the movie, and I feel like it never really picked up from it. So I kind of already mentioned that Tyrese is like much more of a main character in this movie, but there's one part where he's literally just outrunning like 4 cars worth of people just gunning him down, and I'm just like, okay, I guess he got a new agent or something that like negotiated him a better deal, because literally nobody cares about him in this movie. You all know it. No one cares about it. He knows it. We all know it. We don't want to see more of him in this movie. Put him in the background. He's the butt of Ludacris's jokes. That's how he works best. There was a Wrangler. I love Jeep Wranglers. I was a little disappointed. Probably one of the most disappointing parts of the movie is that this Wrangler is not more tricked out. Ludacris has a Wrangler. It's kind of a stock color. No cool gimmicks to it. I mean, it's lifted, but not like that lifted. Love seeing Wranglers. Wish they were more, pimped out. So there's a scene where they're like, they go like over like a landmine field, because of course there's some like World War II era landmines in this country that like no one's ever heard of, and then they're like, oh, the only way you could outrun these is by going 80 miles an hour, and so they just drive 80 miles an hour and outrun them all. But then like the enemies are like driving faster than the Fast and the Furious crew, but they're blowing up, but the Fast crew isn't blowing up, which is like whatever. I don't really care, but it doesn't make any sense. There's like one part where somebody's falling and Vin Diesel's like, "Oh, here, I'll break your fall," and he just like parks his car there. It's like, "Oh, the hood of my car will break your fall." Apparently, you can fall on metal and a combustible engine. I don't know. There's another part where Letty's like, "Oh, I really miss our old life," and it's just like, is that the old life where you're like racing for DVD players and Honda Civic parts, or is that the old life where you're like international super spy saving the world? Unclear. There's another part where they're like, "Oh, we got to find out like what Han had to do with this before he was dead," which he actually isn't, but we don't know that yet. And then like Letty and me are like, "Oh, send us the research, we'll do it." And it's like they're like librarians all of a sudden. Like they've never done any research in the movie. They're like detectives too, but whatever. There's another part. Oh yeah, so John Cena, he like kind of led to Vin Diesel's dad's death, but then he kind of didn't. They like keep like kind of making him a villain and then making him redeemable and then making him a villain again and then making him redeemable again. But there's like one part where Vin Diesel, there's also young Vin Diesel in this movie and young John Cena, and you could tell young because I went like this. And there's like one scene with them and Vin Diesel's like, "You killed our dad and now you gotta race me, and if you beat me then I'll forgive you, and if not then I won't forgive you." And it's like, really? That's what you're gonna do? That's how you're gonna settle this? Like, I guess that was another race in the movie at least. I don't think they showed the whole race, but there's another scene where they play the song "Breathe" from The Prodigy, and I was like, that's a really deep cut. Like, I have not heard that song since like anime music videos of like the early 2000s, and now we tied this back to anime and it belongs on the channel. I don't know the company Boodles, but apparently they make fine jewelry that's very expensive because there is product placement for this all over the movie. There's just like an entire scene about it. Oh yeah, okay. So when they reveal that like Han had to do with this secret when he was alive, they're like, "Oh, Han had to do with this? I don't believe it. Han, we used to know Han." And then like Han's alive, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, Han's alive." Like it seemed like they'd be more shocked that Han's alive than he like had to do with this special ops thing when he was alive, and they knew he was alive. There's a lot of references to other movies. Like there's one part where like, "I hope a Ninja Turtle doesn't jump out of us," and there's literally an entire scene where they just talk about Star Wars. That's just an entire scene. The movie had a lot of bad humor. It was kind of like, well, I'm not a big fan of the Marvel movie humor, and this is that. This is just a Marvel movie, but they just put the Fast and the Furious characters in instead of the Marvel superheroes, which sounds better than it is. It's not good. There was like one race in this movie. There was like the race that took place in the past, and then there was one race where like Ramsey is driving, and the whole joke is that she doesn't know how to drive. Okay. My original note was, I don't know why they didn't get Bow Wow to come back from this movie, and then I realized it was Bow Wow, and then I updated the note to say, "Wow, Bow Wow got really fat." It happens, The movie was like 15 years ago. There's a lot of meta comments about the movie, like Tyrese is like, "We're like indestructible." We're like, I don't know why I sound like Sylvester Stallone all the time. But he's just like, "We're indestructible. It's like we're in a movie or something." And then Charlize Theron, who's like captive, she's like, "If this was a movie, this was the part where you'd have problems, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, that's not funny. John Cena, yes, they didn't get to do much. And everyone has a kid. It's like now they need like a babysitter like for the next movie. It's like, "Oh, okay, well, oh, yeah, oh, is Anne free tonight? Yeah, okay, good. We'll drop off the kids and then we'll go, save the world." Whatever. Anyway, I think it's the worst of the Fast and the Furious movies. I still like the Fast and the Furious movies. They hint so there's an after credit scene that's basically like Han shows up at Jason Statham's house. He's like, "Yo, we got beef to settle." That's what I wanted to see in this movie. I want a Han movie and Jason Statham. Those are my two favorite actors of all time, and I want to see them interact. I'm still hyped for Fast 10. This movie was not very good, but watch it when it's like for free. Right, so to take a look at these figures, so these are 1/18 scale. They have these for all different figures, for all different cars throughout the, kind of throughout the Fast and the Furious, saga. This one, I don't know. I don't really have a good resource for checking, original dates and prices for sort of U.S. figures. I normally do it for Japanese stuff, but this one is copyright 2019. This is 2020. This is 2021. I think these were about like $20-25 when they came out. I think they're mostly still available. There was a point earlier this year where it seemed like maybe they had sold out. I don't know if they wound up making some more. or watt, but I think the price is kind of settled around that. They do have lots of other cars from the whole series. Seems like just doing a quick eBay search, some of them are expensive, some of them are not particularly expensive. You may notice here that all of these are RX-7s. So the Mazda RX-7 is my absolute favorite car of all time. I'm not a car guy. I don't know a lot about cars, but I do love the RX-7 ever since I watched Initial D, and that was kind of like the main villain of the first season, drove an RX-7. There's a number of RX-7s in the Fast and the Furious movies. So this is Dom's RX-7 from the first one. This is the orange Julius RX-7 from the race at the beginning of Too Fast, Too Furious, and of course, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Han's orange RX-7. They kind of had to stop using the RX-7s after the third movie because they weren't being made anymore, so it didn't really make sense. It's oh, everyone's got these sports cars, and you have a 15-year-old Mazda with the rotary engine. I mean, it's cool, but it's probably not going to outrace everybody. Even the fact that Fast and the Furious 3 took place after 7 really doesn't make a lot of sense why Han would be driving such an old car, but I'm not going to think about it too much. All right, so let's... I don't think there's, a whole lot here. We'll do a quick unboxing, take a look at them. I have not bought a diecast car since, I was a little kid. I mean, they're cool. I don't have anything against them. I'm just not a big car guy. I'm told from one of my friends who is more of a big car guy that some people did not like these because they're not super, there's some weird part of it that's not accurate or something like that. One of the wheels is off or something like that. I certainly don't know enough about these to make that kind of determination. I'm just sort of I like RX-7s, and this is an RX-7, so I'm going to buy it and put it on my shelf. So, oh boy. Well, I'm glad that no matter what the series, they are still always hard to get out of the box. Okay, I think that's, yeah. All right, so we'll take a look at this guy first. I assume it's somehow kept in place here. With a screwdriver, oh boy. Well, apparently you need a screwdriver to open these up. Fortunately, I have my gunpla kit here. And it's not quite the perfect fit, but it's close enough. Screw these real quickly. Probably be easier to unscrew if you had a screwdriver that actually fit, but we're in true Fast and the Furious fashion. We are winging it here. So let's see here. What do we got? So yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice car. Like I said, I unfortunately don't know all that much about it. It's got details. The wheels spin. It's got a lot of tape. Tape is my arch nemesis. Actually, I think we could just use this blade here to cut the tape down. Okay, well, these cars are very resilient. They survived that. I believe that somehow you can open up the hood here. Let's try with these tweezers. So yeah, they got a little thing where you could pop the hood open. You could see inside. Try to get a good angle there. Kind of got the engine. If I really knew anything about engines or how cars work, I'm sure that we could, I might have some issue about how it's, not accurately portrayed or something, but, all right. And you could open up the doors, and I think you could also open up the trunk. Let's see, let's just get this tape off. And it's kind of cool, you get a cool detail, but you could see the tank of nitrous oxide in the back, which I think is a nice little detail. I don't think the trunk opens, but the doors open. I don't know if they have any Fast and Furious figures, but maybe you could put somebody inside. The wheel does not move. The shift pedals do not shift, but the wheels do. I'm gonna throw it on here. Let me make sure that I actually have it in focus here. Let me just do a quick 360 view. You know, what you see is kind of what you get. If you like a particular car from the Fast and the Furious movie and you're not like particularly concerned about like, is this 100% accurate to, you know, how this car was produced and exactly how it looks in the movie, then, you know, I think this is probably a nice, you know, a nice line. I think that if, you know, you're like a super big car person and, you know, some of those more details are a little bit more important to you, you might want to look into the specific one that you want to get before you buy it. Because I think, like I said, some of them I think are a little bit more, you know, screen accurate than others. But for me, I think they'll look nice next to the initial D RX-7s that I will unbox some point at this channel. At some point. Oh, this guy's starting to fall. All right, I think we probably got enough rotations of him. I'm going to hit pause for a second. I'm going to open these guys up. And I'll kind of show these off, but you don't need to see me opening up every single one of them. All right, and we are back. So we have the Dom's RX-7 over here. So I'll put that on the rotating stand real quickly, and I could just kind of give, you know, a few final thoughts, and then we'll throw the Hans one on as well. So, you know, Fast and Furious, I absolutely love the franchise. I think that Fast 9 was not a great movie, but you know, it's not so bad that you can't even watch it, but I would expect to watch it more as something to make fun of than to something to like really enjoy. As for these figures, I think they're really nice. You know, like I said, I'm not a diecast car person. I'm not a car person in general, but you know, if you just have a few favorite cars from the show, I could think of you know, a worse figure that you could put on your shelf to sort of represent that. Let's throw the Hans one up here. I was taking a look at the back of one of these, and it actually had the figures that they're going to be releasing from Fast 9. Let me take a look over here. But it is the Dom's 1970 Dodge Charger, the Toyota GR Supra that Han was driving, and the 2022 Gladiator. I thought it was a Wrangler when I was watching it. I mean, the Gladiator is kind of like the Wrangler with a pickup truck attached to the back of it. I didn't think that the truck, the bed at the back was that big, but I guess I just didn't get a good angle at it. But yeah, so those are what's available from the new movie, and there's a whole bunch available from the old movie. Anyway, thanks so much for checking out this video. I put new videos up every Wednesday. I typically do figure unboxings from anime and you know, kind of other robot shows. We recently put up a few figures from Batman the Animated Series as well. So yeah, please keep an eye out for those, and I do put up the occasional review, so keep an eye out for those as well. Thanks so much, and keep collecting, friends. Wait a second, I don't have friends, only family.